Hello, guys. Welcome back to BBB Speaks. This is Josh again in the podcast studio from Ignite, sparked by BBB. I'm here with Barry Moore. I'm here with Evie, and I'm going to let the man introduce himself. Tell me a little bit about who you are and where you come from and what you do.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Joe Crowley. I am with the Coleman Institute for Addiction Medicine here in Richmond. We are a detox center. We detox alcohol, opioids, methadone, Suboxone, virtually any drug. And I'm here to spread the word about the values of the Coleman Institute.
Okay. I think a lot, especially now, and we talked about this a little bit before starting the podcast, but the fentanyl craze that's been going on all over the place. And it's not just fentanyl, but that's the big one that's coming over here. What's been going on with fentanyl in general?
Yeah, it's very frightening what's happening in fentanyl. And over the last 4 or 5 years, we've seen a huge spike in drug overdose deaths. And the last 3 years, 80% of all drug overdose deaths were caused by fentanyl. There was fentanyl in the system. Mm-hmm. So we really need to be aware of that. And we are now creating new protocols specifically to detox people off of fentanyl.
Okay. What are those protocols?
They're medical protocols where we use a suite of non-addicting drugs and comfort meds and the Traxone, and we detox you over a number of days depending on how strong your addiction has been.
And when it comes to, let's say, the other detox facilities, do you do anything that's different as opposed to, what is your procedure that differs from the other ones?
Yeah, so Dr. Coleman created this procedure right early 2000. So we've tested it for the past 20, 24 years. A lot of places will do a rapid detox one day. There's benefits of it, but there's a lot of downside on that. Other people will go into a detox facility for 30 or 60 days. There's benefits to that. There's a lot of costs there. Dr. Coleman created the Coleman method, and he detoxes you outpatient between 3 to 5 days, depending on what drugs, how long you've been addicted. And the whole thing is managed by medical doctors, nurses, and there's a whole suite of comfort drugs that a lot of places don't administer. And the comfort drugs are not addicting drugs, but they're there to help you through this 3 days. The first 3 days can be very, very challenging. Mm-hmm. And so what makes us different that we feel is we do it outpatient. We do it gradually over a 3 to 5 day time frame. We have the comfort drugs, and then we assign you a case manager that's going to work with you, because after we do the physical detox, it's extremely important that you follow up with support groups, with counseling, and get into a program so that you can make sure that you're staying, clean. And so our case manager will work with you for 6 months and make sure and follow up and make sure you have all the resources that you need.
5 days, 3 to 5 days sounds very short, because when you hear other detox facilities or rehab centers, they go into weeks and sometimes months. I'm just very fascinated that you've been able to cut it down in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. Dr. Coleman is brilliant, and Dr. Coleman has dedicated his life to addiction. And many of them do 30 days. Well, if you're in 30 days, a typical, and again, not all of them, but typical, the detox is 12 to 14 days, and then the remainder of the days you're in there. Mm-hmm. We can do it in 5 days, all outpatient.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming here, because especially spreading the word here. What do you hope to accomplish out of just us speaking together right now in this podcast area?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, if anyone has an addiction problem, any addiction problem, please get help. That's what I hope to do that. Second of all, if you do make the decision to get help, that you will look up the ColemanInstitute.com, ColemanInstitute.com. We can take patients throughout the whole country. We accept multiple major insurances, and we would love to have a conversation. Call on the website. There's a phone number. Call, speak to one of our intake agents and find out, is the Coleman Institute right for you?
Is there any good ways to tell people who are addicted to just recognize the signs? Because it's really hard for people who are addicted to get help when they don't want to get help. Because it's really easy to tell someone that they're addicted, but it's hard to look inward and recognize that yourself.
Yeah, it really is. And I would say that in the vast majority of the things, people have to make the decision themselves. We can tell them all we want externally, but if they haven't made the decision that they want to get the help, that they want to stop taking it, it may work temporarily, but there's generally a relapse.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we try to do is educate people as much as we can as the dangers of having addiction, regardless of what it is, and that how that can impact their whole life, their family, and we hope that they'll make the decision to get help.
Okay.
Hey, Joe, Evie and I were talking the other day, and this is a big question. I'm going to let Evie ask you about a spelling question in a second. But WHIMBY was started, by Harry Garman?
Yep.
Who was on the board of directors at the Better Business Bureau when I was on the directors, and his son John still goes. But it's a great organization, and I want you to talk a little bit about that with Josh and I and Evie. But I want Evie to ask you the spelling question.
Okay. So WHIMBY is WHIMBY.
Correct.
Correct. Okay. Is it welcome into my backyard or welcome here in my backyard?
Neither.
Neither one.
No. It's
What's
happening.
What's happening?
That's why I get it
That's
wrong.
why.
in my backyard.
Joe, I keep spelling it WH and then it's WIM. I keep messing it up. I'm the one doing that.
It's
but I
what's
can't
happening.
spell to begin with.
What's happening in my backyard?
That's what's happening. Joe Crowley at WHIMBY.
Yes.
Want to talk about them a little bit?
Yes, I'd love to talk about them. And thank you for honoring Harry Garman. Harry Garman was a serial entrepreneur and
Yes,
a
he was.
serial networker.
And
Harry,
an accountant that grinds you out. He used to do our records. He was amazing.
Yes.
Yes, he was amazing.
And so Harry and the infamous, the real Jim Wilson and Sterling Dunham used to have lunch at the Westwood Club once a week. And then they would invite 3 or 4 or 5 business associates, and they would talk about what was going on. And this was going on in 2007, 2006, 2007. 2008, they said, why don't we create a group and start meeting in the evenings? And so they did. When they first started, they had 10 members. Pre-COVID, we grew it. I've been on the board since 2010. Pre-COVID, we had reached a point where we had over 100 members attending every single month. We obviously know what COVID had done. Our mantra in WHIMBY is that we are there to develop business relationships and business connections. We support each other. We're a welcoming group, and we try to do business with fellow members. It's not just a referral, and it's not a cold handoff. It is let's create a relationship there. And I think that's why we've been successful. So we've been meeting at the Westwood Club every Thursday evening since 2009.
Wow. And we got, just Evie and I, just from the other day, you're the third person from WHIMBY on the Ignite Sparked by BBB podcast, which is pretty cool. That's less than a week ago we were able to address your group. And then we have a number of people set up coming in the future. Joe LaBella, is Joe LaBella a member or no? Or is he a visitor?
He's a visitor, and we're
Yeah,
working
the
on
member.
getting him to join.
He's already in Disparity, and they just took over our benefits. And I think he'd be a welcome to all your members, the small businesses, because Disparity was started in 1985, multi-billion-dollar public company in Texas, accredited business. And that's all we'll deal with is people that are accredited. Do business with only people like-minded like us. So Joe is a great guy, and I think he'll do great in that group.
Yes, Joe is a great guy. I've been very fortunate. I've known Joe for well over 10 years. He's honest as the day's long. He's a straight shooter, and You can rely on him to do what he says he's going to do. I do want to give Barry and Evie a great shout out. They came to our group last week and talked and put on a wonderful presentation for our members and guests, and the feedback is overwhelmingly positive. So thank you, and I'm giving you an open invitation. Anytime you want to come to WHIMBY, you come as my guest.
Thank
that'd be
you.
great.
I had a wonderful time.
It really was fun, right? And
It
Evie did a
was.
great presentation. She's new with us, and she's really doing a great presentation and representing us like Josh is. Josh has been here about 2 years, and we're growing from within, people that'll be out in the community. And I'm excited about that because we all need our employees and our team members to be part of the solution, and it's a winning culture, play to win. So the last thing I'll tell you, Joe, and following your Rolodex in your mind here with your new job, and I think God put you in the right position. I think our community is such need for this. We've got to stop some of these nonprofits raising money, pretending they're fixing something. I see people at the governor's office. I see all these people being noted, and they're really not doing anything. But we're going to masquerade balls. We're going to tuxedo events to raise money for people that died of overdoses or alcoholism. What is the point of that, right? And I started to figure that out about 10 years ago when I was at the car dealership and getting involved. So I have a lot of experience in the nonprofit world. I can identify some people that are wasting time and money. And then there's some great people like Caritas, Karen O'Brien, Real Life, Sarah Scarborough, C.T. Woody started in the Richmond City Jail, in the Justice Center. Carl Leonard, sheriff in Chesterfield County, started a HEART program 8 years ago. And you're going to meet, a lot of these people.
Right.
You're going to continue. But I want to leave you with this, and then I know we got to wrap it. The DEA, Chris he's the SAC, the special agent in charge, right here in Richmond. And I've met Chris on the phone, and I just met him in person. He said something to me profound about 9 months ago that I know we're going down the right path with you and bringing you into the BBB accredited business area that you could talk to our business owners. Chris said terrorism is called fentanyl. It's in our country right now. And I just told him 2 days ago at Jeff Katz's retirement in Chesterfield, I said, Chris, I never met you face to face, but I quote you all the time. And he said, Barry, there's 115,000 deaths last year. So the numbers will be coming out. And he said, it's fentanyl. And there's enough fentanyl in this country to kill 250 million people. There's only 330 million. Yeah. That's talking terrorism 101 can wipe us out. It can be disguised in any form or fashion, and we're letting it come in. I don't know where some of the politicians' heads are. Our law enforcement is trying to stop it because they're afraid their kids are going to get affected, their grandchildren. So the DEA is a great resource. The FBI, everybody's working on it. So thank you for what you're doing.
And thank you for having me. And I just want to echo that sentiment. It is frightening as to the death toll going up each and every year. And it is fentanyl, fentanyl, fentanyl.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming.
Thank you, Joe, for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much, Joe, for coming. But this is Ignite, Sparked by BBB podcast. And where can they find us?
BBB Sharing.
BBB Sharing.
And
Thank you.
You can find us on Ignite, Sparked by BBB, Serving Central Virginia, on Instagram and Facebook. On LinkedIn, it's BBB Serving Central Virginia. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.